case at the end of it, we didn't talk about all of them, right? We talked about New York Times v. Sullivan. I think Brandsburg v. Hayes came up in one context, and then there'll be a couple more cases tomorrow. So as long as you know those case names and the general holdings of those cases, that's kind of like the most evil question I would ask would be, you know, what's the hold? I wouldn't be, and I don't think I ask specifically what is the holding of this case, but I might say, you know, this was the holding, true, false kind of thing. So the information will be there, you won't have to pull it out of nowhere. But if I say the holding of New York Times versus Sullivan is that reporters are not per se public figures, true, false, can you answer that? That's the kind of thing you're going to have. If you've never heard of the case, never read it, you're going to be lost. So we're throwing things at Lauren now, aren't we? So that's kind of thing, yeah.
As far as like the FCC, like the Act of 1910, like,
yes, what about them?
As far as like all those acts and official, I guess, organizations, are we need to know?
Know that the FCC is the Federal Communications Commission and what they regulate. So that would be the people, those are the decency police, your broadcast media regulators, right? There is also the FTC, which is going to come up for tomorrow in advertising. And know that they deal with basically your honesty in advertising. And we've got a little bit of the alphabet soup in a couple of places. I'm trying to think if there's anywhere else where it comes up and it's relevant. I don't think we covered too much. I mean, there's a couple more things. More alphabet soup grammar, you remember that? FOIA, the government in the sunshine. Those acronyms, just the big ones. We don't need to know the whole history. We don't need to know what the FCC was before it was the FCC. You don't need to know the year that the progenitor of the modern FCC was created. You know, I suppose there are teachers who will torture you with that kind of information, but as I said, I'm a pragmatist. If you understand the system within which you are operating and know the vocabulary, you can always look up what you need to know. Yes, sir.
Can you go over news gathering stuff? I feel like that's
well, there are some interesting things with news gathering. I guess the first thing that comes up is, just because you're a reporter, are you privileged to get any more information than private people? And what's the answer?
no.
No. There is no news gathering privilege. There's no special access in the law. Understand, in reality there is. Because people have press conferences. People do give press passes. The press do get special access to people who wish to get their message out, their word out, or their image out. So stars will hold press conferences, and politicians will hold press conferences, you see, and people will do press releases. So in reality, you do get a little more access than, say, I would, not being a member of the press. Under the law, no special privileges when it comes to news gathering. Make use of everything else that's there. Let's see, what was on your news gathering quiz? Anybody have that on them? I'm trying to remember what your question was. Do you have yours with you, Kathleen?
Yeah, I might.
Oh, good. So you have the news gathering. Was that an essay, or what, did I give you a short answer for that one? Because I don't remember. Was that Lois Lane?
Broadcast regulation,
Yeah.
obscenity, media in the courts, news gathering. Yeah. It was an essay. It's the Lois Lane one.
Perfect. So when you're talking about news gathering, basically what we covered in class was the dangers you could get into. Right. And so basically the torts that Kathleen was asking me about earlier are really what you need to remember with respect to Brandon's question here.
Okay, cool.
So remember two things: no special privileges, and that you could get into trouble if you step out of line. And that's that whole lying, cheating, fraud, misrepresentation.
But so-
Oh, we didn't get to invasion of privacy. We got distracted. That's another one of the torts. The privacy invasion, where it came, you know, private facts, basically. That's the one I want to get to, private facts. So that's the one that's missing from your notes. Go back to your torts.
And the private facts one with the quiz that we had with
Essay quiz.
Luther or
Yes, no, that wasn't Luther, that was, oh, no, that was the other Luther. Yes, that was the article, the book that the person wrote, and then he spoke to the wife and then wrote some private things in about Luther.
Was that invasion of privacy?
Yeah, it's the private facts tort would have been the right answer.
Okay.
For that one.
And he would have been able to win based on that.
Well, that's his best argument. Of course, I mean, being a lawyer, I never tell you that yes, you're going to win. What I will ask you is, what is his best argument for proceeding in this context? And so for him, it would have been private facts. They're talking about drunkenness, his poor sexual performance, reproductive, whatever, damaging his kid with his alcoholism. All of these things are private facts, which even if they're true, you have a problem with bringing up private facts against a private person when it's not relevant to anything the public needs to know or to do. Doesn't work quite as well if you're a public figure, right? Even with public figures, it's not like someone should be privileged to write about, say, their sex life if they're not putting it out there. It's going to be limited to something that's relevant. Maybe a public official, an elected person, you might have a little more leeway inquiring into these private things and writing these private things because they go to their character, and it is their character which would be the basis for your vote for them or against them. So it might be relevant in that context. Hard to imagine it being relevant in too many other contexts, and so private facts would be the way you go if it's that kind of information, which would go to things that would be, what do they say in the book, cause embarrassment, shock the public, that kind of thing. So that context, you can check it in there. Yes, sir. Eric.
With news gathering, isn't there a thing where like misrepresentation is okay if
The
like,
defense.
saving the world?
Yeah, we covered that in class in the news gathering chapter. It's near the end there when they're talking about, well, what about if you really are trying to save the world? Can you do this? Because they were wondering if these privacy invasion torts meant the end of your undercover reporter. Your investigative journalist who goes undercover to do an expose. Can you still do that? The answer is probably, but you better have a really good reason. Basically, you want to do a cost-benefit thing as to, is the harm you are seeking to expose or prevent greater than the harm that you are causing by your misrepresentation? Now, when you were Lois Lane in the Lex Luthor hypothetical, she probably would be okay there because she was trying to expose and prevent the implementation of a doomsday device. And what did she do to Luthor? She lied about herself, but guess what? She did a good job for her job. That was one of the facts in that question, which is that she performed her duties admirably, with the exception that she carried around a camera and recorded everything. And then was able to expose the evil he was up to, which was adulterating his food substance. Now, I don't know, I saw your hand
John
go
was
up,
first.
Yeah. He was first? Okay,
So,
go.
would she be okay even if, like, Luther lost money because of her?
Oh yeah, it's not just losing money, it's the real harm. He's trying to poison people. He doesn't have a right to poison people to get their business. So if she exposes the poison and he loses business. Do you want to take the quiz?
Oh, no, but can I?
You want to have it?
Review from it?
Sweetheart, in the kitchen, underneath the medicine cabinet, behind the TV trays, there is a stack of the exam review quizzes.
Thank you so
What
much.
questions did you like the food?
No, it's not, that's not on there. She's going to
What
take
color
hers and
was
go.
the black piano?
Thank you.
So if we just take those quizzes, do you want us to bring them back tomorrow?
No, if you're going to take it and have it graded, you're going to answer it here and leave it with me, and I'll grade it and bring it to class tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
And if you just want to have it to review, you just take it and walk away.
That's perfect, thank you.
So if any of you guys need to leave and you want the points, then I'm going to have my husband just give you the quiz, you go in the other room, take it, leave it with him, and then go, if it gets close to when you need to leave. Okay, see you tomorrow. All right, we were in the middle of something. Did we answer your question? Yeah. Okay.
So if she hadn't found anything, if she had just gone and lied about her identity, lied about having the camera and everything, then she would have gotten in trouble. But because she found something,
Maybe, because then what happens if she finds nothing? What kind of story does she write?
nothing.
Nothing.
She just quits the job and.
So she quits her job and goes and looks for the next story. So this is the thing, in real life, when they don't find anything juicy, you never hear about it. Sometimes people are wrong. Sometimes police investigate people and find that they are actually honest citizens and nobody gets arrested. Sometimes the undercover agent does not find what they think they're going to find. I mean, if they had the evidence to begin with, then there's no need for the big undercover. You go undercover to start gathering the information and gathering the evidence. You know, maybe you get a street dealer of some drugs and he wants to give you somebody up the chain. And if you get somebody in there, you can gather evidence to get those people up the chain. But sometimes they're just not guilty. Oh, did you forget something?
this.
Oh, is that yours? And you got your computer?
I got my computer.
Okay, and this is not your jacket?
No, I think-
Okay, no, not a problem, to make sure she's not
Thanks
looking
so
down.
much, Professor.
Every review, I end up inheriting something. And if they're students, I bring them in. So yeah, would she get in trouble in that context? Well, what harm has she done? She did a good job. She lied on her job application, and let me tell you, that does not put her in a solo class. There are lots of people who lie on their job applications. Pad their resumes or whatever you call it. You're supposed to be honest in those things. A lot of people are not. So that alone is not going to get her into trouble. What would get her is if she did all this and then just started writing about, oh, I don't know, Lex Luthor's unsightly birthmark in some private area of his anatomy. Then it's private facts, and there's nothing being revealed that's going to save the world or help the world. Nothing evil being revealed that the people need to know. That's when she would get in trouble. You go in there and lie to get into somebody's house, and then you just use private information. That's not any good, and that's not going to save you. If you have a good reason for going in there, one of the students in class, or maybe it was after class, and if it was one of you, you can refresh my recollection if necessary, but they said, well, what about the fact that Lois did not find what she was looking for? She went in looking for the doomsday device and instead found an adulterant in the energy drink. Well, it's still okay. Adulterating the energy drink is still bad. And she had a good enough reason to go in. So don't let that trick you. All right?